was going to be good. They had everybody returning, and they improved their shooting. You know, you never know with freshmen like Florida State has. You didn't know they were going to be this good this early. Some things you just can't predict. And I think that's true of the Big Ten. You know, I think they're saying the same thing with Iowa and Indiana near the top, and you know, it's very in college basketball. In every conference, it's interesting this year more than other years.
I think Duke shot 37 three-pointers last night in that game. Have you noticed more three-point shooting because of the new shot clock rule?
Duke shoots a lot of threes. If you follow Duke, if you give me another team, I could give you a better judge. But Duke shoots that all the time. Do you have a different team?
Syracuse? They shot a bunch.
Yeah. Syracuse is a three-point shooting team. They do shoot, but the young man had a great, unbelievable rebounding night. You know, I don't think I think the shot clock has a little bit to do with it, but I think there's more driving than ever before because you can't put hands on people.
About Florida State and what they've been doing well, and I know you recruited Bacon. He's made a big difference for them.
Well, Beasley, Bacon, point guard, who's got great experience. You know, they take you off the bounce as well as anybody in the league. They've got terrific one-on-one talent, and to go along with that, they have great size. These aren't your typical guards that you're looking at. They got great size and length, and of course they can bring in some size as well.
How do you think Nanu will handle going against a guy who's 7'3", 250? I know weight-wise that's probably normal, but 7'3", you guys aren't going to see too many 7'3" guys.
Why don't you ask Nano?
What is that? I mean, when you've seen him go against guys like that before in the past, I mean, how has he dealt with that?
Who's he gone against last year? I don't think he's played as much. I don't think he's played as much last year as he has this year. Well, I mean, we're going to find out. I don't know how to answer your question because I'd be answering it. He hasn't gone against that many guys like that, and he's a much different basketball player this year than last year. So I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, tomorrow night.
His confidence as he continues to play, that's a big thing with him, wasn't it, last year?
Well, he's one of the leaders on the team, and last year he was a lost young freshman, trying to feel his way around, and you know he's just a different guy. He's learned to work hard. He's got a good threshold for work now that he didn't have, and certain freshmen go through that, others don't.
Are you confident this team can keep up the defensive progress they showed in the other game, or how does that, you know, what's your opinion about that? I mean, the players are saying that's one game, but we got to keep it up.
You know, I think anytime you have a totally new basketball team, every game's a journey. You know, I don't think that you could say, oh, just because we played a great defensive game against Pitt, that's always going to be there. I think that this is a new basketball team that's learning. I think they took a lot of pride in what they did last game in terms of their defense, and they feel good about it. But now they're going to go against a different type of basketball team in terms of one-on-one ability.
You said in that game they kind of put the scouting report on the court. Did that carry over to this scouting report, or do you not know till you see him get out there? Or
Yeah, I
what
think,
are they focused?
you know, I don't know what to say about this team, except I know they're going to give great effort. You know, it's a guessing game outside of Nanu who's going to play well. You know, at the defensive end I'm talking about. You know, Ray and Jalen still, you know, they're not, scouting reports to them aren't they have a difficult time with those. And so it takes the game moving along for them to get a good feel for what's being done. Now, Mango was very good, but he's out another 3 weeks, so we got to get these guys ready.
I don't do it much, but I see it. I'm already starting to see people start looking at resumes and start already talking about that kind of thing. In a year like this especially, is there any value in any, I mean, I guess they do it because people like to keep up with how people are doing with the league, but.
You're talking about
Yeah.
resume, team's resume?
Yeah, team tournament, all that, and worrying about good loss.
You know, I just think that this is going to be a bumpy ride for everybody in the ACC, for everyone. We're going to have your bumps in the road. And what we got to do is take care of business at home, and we got to try to split the road best possible and just keep getting better, keep improving. I think all the talk in January about that just makes no sense at all. None of it just, I think come mid-February, I think that who's on the bubble in January is absurd talk. It's just, they're just filling up time because they have a lot of airtime. You gotta fill it up with something. So, Joe Lunardi becomes the most popular man in sports at this time of year because he fills up the time. I was watching a game the other night on the road, and he was talking about who's in, who's out in the Atlantic 10. It's January 15th, kind of, but guess you got to do it. Anybody else?
Shooting the three doesn't seem to be as big of a factor for this Florida State team. Is that what you see on film? How do they value the three?
I think the three-point shot, now excluding Duke, because that's their offense. They shoot a lot of threes consistently. I think teams that shoot threes, what the defense is going to give you. It's if you double the post and you pass out of it and the three's there, it's what you give a team. If they decide to give it, you have to obviously take it the right way. We don't concern ourselves with taking numbers of threes, but that's, other teams have guys they go to in that situation. We don't necessarily do that. Now, we think we're a better shooting team than our numbers indicate, but that remains to be seen as well. Like I said, this is a new basketball team with us. I couldn't tell you right now, what are our three major strengths. I couldn't tell you right now. It's because at the end of the year, I'm hoping it's certain things, but right now it's, again, I want to see if we can play defense like we did against the Pitt game against Florida State. I want to see if that's going to become the norm, getting 40 deflections.
With Trey Lewis, what do you say to him if he's struggling shooting?
I don't think he is struggling shooting. I don't think Damian Lee and Trey Lewis, the reason if you take their percentages of why the shots don't go in, I think they're bad shots. I think good shooters that take good shots don't struggle. I think both of those guys have taken challenge threes, and they're less than 10%, and that's, if they take good shots, they'll shoot a high percentage. If they take bad shots, they'll shoot a low percentage. So they're getting the penalties of taking some bad shots. I make them watch it. That's the best way to teach. Watch yourself taking a challenge shot, and they watch in practice as well as. And I'll say it in practice. There's a challenge shot that's not going in as the shot's in the air, and doesn't go in. So no, it's just a matter of they're new, and they've taken challenge shots all their life, and now they're playing against quicker, bigger, better competition.
There's been an increase in the number of foreign players each of the past 5 years to the point now where there's more than 500 playing in Division I. Why do you think that's been the case? And in that time period, do you feel that coaching staffs, NCAA has done a better job of trying to verify eligibility concerns and try and set players up to succeed when they get here?
I have no idea how to answer that. I really have no idea.
I mean, in your case, so have there been systems that you've tried to set up with the foreign-born players that you brought in to acclimate them, help them succeed? We contact the Norwegian consulate, and we just ask them if there are any players available for us, and the Egyptian consulate. Now that we got Africa lined up, it's in our corner. We got Africa, Norway, and Egypt. We'll just try some of the other countries coming up.
Can you talk about VJ got McDonald's? I know you don't worry about rankings and all that, but for him, it's a nice honor for him in the program.
You're right, I don't care about it. So I'm sure it's a great honor for VJ, and he's very excited about it, I'm sure. And we're just very excited to have VJ, whether he made McDonald's or Burger King or whatever team. We're just very excited to have VJ.
Coach, if the UNLV rumor with your name attached to it was brought to your attention.
Next question, guys. Anybody have a basketball question about Florida State? Or I'd be glad to answer it, but please don't talk about job openings in January or resumes.
Damian Lee,
Yes.
last game, one of his most active all around. Is that kind of a product of what happened at Clemson and him taking a look at what he needs to do, or was
If you take the statistics of how many challenge shots they took in that game, it's going to ruin their percentage. But as we know in practice, both of those guys are really good shooters. You know, if they have an open look, they're going to shoot better than 50%. It's just that one game, they just shot themselves out of having a good percentage. But that being said, they've learned their lessons from that game, and I was really, really impressed with the way Damian Lee played defense against Pittsburgh. Really impressed. That was a great performance, and as you know, he won the MVP.
Of the players you've seen from October until now, who's made the most progress?
On our team? You don't see it, but without question, it's Mott's. You don't see it because I don't play him, you know, obviously. But he has some offensive practices that are very impressive, and Nano can't stop him. Mott's cannot be stopped in a low post unless you go after him with other players, and that's very impressive to me. Now, so you may say, well, why aren't you playing him more? Yeah. He's just not game ready right now in terms of defense. Anis is more game ready than he is, but he's the heir apparent to that position. And we work with him very hard for the future. That doesn't mean if Nano gets in foul trouble, we'd be afraid to throw him in. He'll more than hold his own if we throw him in.
I think Seth Greenberg talked about, he was surprised, I think he said something last fight, you were left, that you're causing more can cause a lot of matchup problems because of you. Is that fair?
If Seth said it, must be true.
In your opinion, I mean, is that a real asset for you guys in terms of the defense?
Without a doubt. It's my sarcasm day. What day? It's my New York sarcasm day. No, and I really mean it. I just don't know how to answer certain questions, you know, about foreign-born players. Where we don't really put a lot of thought into that. We really don't. It was something we have to be tipped off to something like that, and you know, we got very lucky with Anis. We traveled to Spain to see Mats. Came away knowing he was a project, but the great thing about Gorky Zhangs and Mangos and Mats and Anis is what great people they are. You know, totally unspoiled by AAU basketball in terms of the name on the back. You know, totally. It's a pleasure to coach those guys. It really is a pleasure to coach them. And as long as I'm here, we're going to continue, and hopefully we get tipped off on more African players and more foreign players. I hope we get tipped on them because they're a delight to coach. Now, that being said, sometimes they take a little bit longer because they haven't experienced that AAU competition at a very young age, but that's okay as well.
Rick, do you get calls from people saying, I got the next so-and-so down here, and, you know, maybe you had a contact along the way with somebody, for whatever the reason?
Well, generally the way it works is like Gorgie has done so well that if there's a player from Senegal, he's going to think about Louisville because of Gorgie. And if there's a player from Australia, and Mango and Dang are doing well, you know, they're going to think about Louisville. And if there's a player from Virginia Tech doing very well, they're going to think about Virginia Tech. It's sort of the success that the players have in the program. It's no different than having a kid like Russ Smith from New York does so well. A lot of New York guards would be interested because Russ did so well. And so it's pretty much the same if your players have that type of success.
When you look at Onuaku, what kind of progress do you feel like he's made, or what do you still want from him to be better at?
You know, I think for a sophomore, you know, he's done remarkably well. You know, he's improved in most areas. I think he still has to learn the new rules better in terms of screening. He's got to get near the basket more because he's such a lethal weapon. He's got to stop, you know, roaming on the perimeter. He's got to get to the basketball. That being said, I don't think I could be any happier with Nano as a sophomore. I mean, he's given us everything he has. And, you know, it's okay that we'd like to see him play 28 minutes minimum per game. We'd like to see that. In some games he just doesn't. And they're not good fouls. You know, sometimes, you know, like Wayne Blackshear, he was just the product of getting so many bad calls against him. You know, you watch the film and you say, he didn't touch him. You know, he was just unlucky. You know, Nano's fouling, you know, offensively.
Does the good attitude that you're talking about with foreign guys, and I know Dane was here for a year playing,
Right.
Does that help right now where he's trying to get back into full basketball mode and he's behind Damian?
Yeah, I think an American player would say, look, I need to get my minutes, you know, and everybody around them would be telling you, you need to get your minutes and that type of thing. And Deng sees that he's not playing real well right now, and he sees Damian, so he's just trying to learn. And I texted him the other night on the way home. I said, listen, son, don't get discouraged. Don't get down about your minutes. And he immediately texted me back. He said, Coach, we won the game. I'm not even concerned about that. Now, I don't think too many American-born players would have that type of response, but he did. And that's the great thing about the guys so far. And they understand the goal. Like Gorky always understood the goal of where he wanted to get. And it wasn't about today. It's about the learning process. Learn, get better, improve, and everything will take care of himself. I was visiting with him the other night, and, you know, it's the same Gorky, you know, same one. Don't, like Richard said, you know, when the check came, Gorky, don't even try to reach in your pocket because we know that's not happening. So same Gorky.
I don't know if this is fair to say or not, but players here grow up wanting to go to the NBA, and a lot of these foreign players have NBA potential.
Yeah.
But it's fair to say that a lot more increasing number of them are kind of growing up just trying to get to college basketball.
No, I think they have a goal. You know, they have a goal to get to the NBA, but then they're not in a rush with that process. They want to go there, and they want to be ready to make their second contract. They want to be good enough. You know, Gorky he knew he was ready as a junior, and he was very patient about it. He knew it. And, you know, they're not looking for that instant gratification. They want to get there, and they want to stick, and they want to get to that second contract. They have good ideas, but at least Gorky did. And I know Deng's the same way. He's very, very mature about the way he thinks. I think Honest is very mature about the way he thinks. You know, I think Matz's a different breed of cat altogether than those guys, and different in a good way.
You touched on the bump of the ACC. Do you see a separation happening? Is this just parity and it's just going to go down the line as well?
I think you guys know as much about that as I do. You know, I just think it surprises me, the losing streaks, the winning streaks. You know, it looks like Syracuse is not playing well, and all of a sudden they're playing great. It looks like Clemson's not playing well, all of a sudden they're playing great. And it just surprises you, and you know, it looks like Seton Hall is in the Big East, and we, you know, because we root for Kevin Willard so much, you know, they have a tough loss against Creighton, and all of a sudden they turn around, they go up, and they have a great win at Providence. You know, Iowa goes into Michigan State. It's a crazy year in college basketball. You know, certainly I think Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Kansas are three dominating basketball teams from that conference. You know, right now it seems like North Carolina is the dominating team in our conference right now, early with 5 games into the ACC schedule. In the Big East, Villanova is that dominating team from that conference right now, and everybody else is fighting for position to go after them. And, you know, the Big Ten is sort of like us. You know, they're all fighting for position. And I don't think anybody would have said that Iowa would have been that dominating. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's nerve-wracking. You just got to play every game as if it's your last game on the schedule, and see where it all come March, I don't know where we're going to be, but we're all going to be fighting come March for wins.
One more for Coach, anybody? Coach, can you tweet out, you know, Mango's off crutches in the walking? How would you rate his progress?
Well, Kenny shouldn't be releasing that type of information.
Said it on your radio show.
He does. You see, because he's tweet. I don't know why he tweets. Guess he wants our fans to know things. Mango is off. The way it works. This is the type of injury. You know, all seriousness. You know, with certain like an ankle sprain. We were shocked, and so was the trainer that Trey Lewis could come back as quickly. But with this injury, it's pretty much going to go the course. He's not going to be able to come back any quicker. They exactly thought at this time when they x-rayed him that he would be off crutches in a walking boot, and he was. So now the scarring builds up. They'll take it next week. The bad thing about this injury, unlike other injuries, he can't get on the court at all. So it's going to take him a lot longer to get back basketball-wise, and I honestly believe it won't be until March, until the end of February, March, where he'll be in good enough, because he's never going to get it. Now he'll learn to be a swimmer. He'll get in the pool. That's the only way you can do this injury is swimming, because it truly has to heal. So it has to be a minimum of 6 weeks before he can step on the basketball court. So I think it's been just slightly over 3. So he's got another 3 weeks before he gets on a basketball court. Now, maybe in another week, he can start shooting free throws with a boot, but we're looking at a long process. Now, if we can continue to win, it's a blessing in disguise, because that means we will have developed Honest, Mats, Ray, and Jalen, and they should be ready, if we can continue to win, and that's a big if.
You mean end of February before he can play at all, or before he can play up to the level you want him to be playing at?
Well, when is 6 weeks? When is that, Kenny? That's,
Originally, you said maybe
beginning, so beginning of February, like first week in February, he'll start stepping on the court. Then it's gonna take him another 10 days to 2 weeks just to step on a basketball court again, because what happens is he'll pull his hamstring. He said, you can't play at this level, the way we play, coming off an injury like that. It's gonna take you minimum of 10 days to get back. So that brings you into, the third week in February before. So you're looking at the end of February, beginning of March.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kenny will tweet out the other important info.